Hi, welcome to the weekly news roundup. I'm Vida and these are your headlines. Government review European Commission EBA status report. Hun Sen orders opposition activists to be released on bail. Water festival ends after a weekend of boat racing and celebrations. Smart ready for 5G network rollout. Free trade agreement with China in the works. New cement factory to produce 2,500 tons per day. We start with national. The government is currently reviewing a European Commission report on whether the kingdom should keep its everything but arms trade status. The EBA status allows preferential access to the European Union market. It has been under review by the EC since February. The EC said duty-free trade under the EBA may be suspended due to serious violation of labor and human rights. The EC in a statement on Tuesday said the report, which outlined the Commission findings, was finalized and sent to the government. The kingdom now has 1 month to respond. The EC will make a final decision in February. Koi Kuong, spokesman for the Foreign Affairs Ministry, said the EC's report is now being reviewed by a government working group. The group is made up of officials from various public institutions. He said the government will respond by December 12. Mr. Kuong said government officials have been working with the EC fact-finding team over the past few months with the hope of retaining the status. Cambodians' imports under the EBA accounted for 18% of all imports coming into the EU market under the scheme last year. The imports, which included clothes and textile products, were worth about $6 billion. Prime Minister Hun Sen yesterday ordered Justice Minister Ongwongwatana to look into granting bail to activists jailed for allegedly colluding with Sam Rainsy. Mr. Hun Sen said the activists were duped into supporting Rainsy and the Justice Ministry should work with courts to free them. He noted they would need to make requests to quantify and the activists will be placed under court supervision pending investigations. The National Police said 73 activists were arrested, but 2 were given bail after they denounced Rainsy. Mr. Hun Sen also assured CNRP supporters overseas they can safely return to the kingdom.
សូមបងប្អូនវិលត្រឡប់មកកាន់ផ្ទះសម្បែងនៅក្នុងប្រទេសកម្ពុជាវិញអត់មានទោសពៃទេអត់មានអ្នកណាចាប់ទេហ៊ុនសែនបញ្ជារដ្ឋបាលថ្នាក់ក្រោមជាតិទាំងអស់មិនត្រូវចាប់ចងអ្នកដែលបានទៅលាក់ខ្លួននៅក្នុងប្រទេសថៃនោះទេ
He added, quote, the ministry must also work with court prosecutors to revoke arrest warrants against those who have fled to allow them to return. Those who have not been wanted and have fled should also come back.
រាជរដ្ឋាភិបាលយល់ណាស់ក៏ប៉ុន្តែនៅមុនថ្ងៃទី9រាជរដ្ឋាភិបាលមិនអាចប្រើសម្ដីនេះបានទេមិនអាចប្រើសម្ដីនេះបានទេព្រោះរាជរដ្ឋាភិបាលមានការចាំបាច់ដើម្បីត្រួតត្រាសភាពការប្រឆាំងនឹងរដ្ឋប្រហារនិងអំពើហិង្សាដែលគេប៉ុនប៉ងពុលរំលំ
However, he said he will not grant amnesty to Rainsy. King Norodom Sihamoni and Prime Minister Hun Sen were seen attending the final days of this year's Water Festival. Water Festival officially ended Tuesday at about 5:30 p.m. after a weekend of boat racing and celebration. King Norodom Sihamoni was seen handing out prizes to the winners of this year's boat race. Mr. Hun Sen on Facebook said he was sitting in front of the royal palace while watching the race. He then thanked security forces for protecting the kingdom and preventing public disorder. Mr. Hun Sen also thanked health officials for taking care of tourists during the Water Festival weekend. The National Police said 1.5 million people watched the boat race during the first 2 days of the festival. It said more than 15,000 security personnel were deployed to security and public order. He said 5 boats sank, but no one was injured. Environment Ministry spokesman Ned Petra said more than 1,000 rubbish collectors were deployed. He also said more than 1,000 volunteers have to clear rubbish and educate visitors on hygiene. On to our top business stories. Smart Axiata Chief Operating Officer Thomas Hunt on Tuesday told Khmer Times the company is ready to roll out its 5G network. Mr. Hunt said now the company is waiting for the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications on how to proceed. He said the ministry needs to provide authorization so Smart Axiata can launch 5G commercial services in the kingdom and be licensed. Mr. Han said, quote, talks are underway to see what is necessary for their perspective to obtain authorization and necessary approvals for the associated spectrum. Cambodia does not yet have a satellite in orbit, which puts the country in a privileged position. Mr. Han noted having a satellite increases the amount of due process that must be carried out to release C-band spectrum for 5G mobile services, which is a problem other countries in the region are facing. He said, quote, because of this, 5G services could potentially be launched very soon, allowing Cambodia to become a 5G pioneer in ASEAN. To date, the ministry has yet publicly released a timeline on when 5G may be available. All three major mobile operators in the kingdom are already conducting trials. In July, Smart became the first telco in the country to showcase 5G. Negotiation for a free trade agreement between Cambodia and China will begin next month, the Chinese embassy in Phnom Penh announced yesterday. China and Cambodia will launch the first official consultation on a bilateral free trade agreement in Beijing on December 3rd, the embassy said. It said, quote, this comes as a special arrangement in light of the friendly relations between Cambodia and China. Sok Sopia, Secretary of State at the Ministry of Commerce, said the only free trade agreement in place with China is at the multilateral level. He said the existing ASEAN-China free trade agreement is not enough to meet the trade potential between the countries. Mr. Sopia said, quote, a free trade will give us more opportunities and market access beyond what we can be achieved through the ASEAN-China free trade agreement. He said China does not want a bilateral agreement with Thailand or Vietnam because they are large agriculture product producers and could flood the Chinese market. Cambodia is preferable because the impact on the Chinese market would be smaller. Trade with China reached $7.4 billion last year. The kingdom exported $1.3 billion worth of goods to the Chinese market, an increase of 37%. Both nations aim to reach $10 billion in trade a year by 2023. Prime Minister Hun Sen presided over the inauguration of a new cement factory in Kampot yesterday morning. He said the kingdom will no longer be reliant on imported cement. The new Thai Bamrong cement factory will provide 335 Cambodian jobs, along with 35 positions for foreigners. It is expected to produce 2,500 tons per day or 1 million tons annually. The factory will be the fifth of its kind. He said Cambodians' current demand for concrete had risen to approximately 8 million tons per year. Mines and Energy Minister Soy Sam said $110 million went into the factory. Ministry of Land Management, Urban Planning and Construction previously said investment in construction had shot up to $3 billion by the end of the second quarter this year. Last year's same period showed investment in the business at $2.1 billion. That's all for this week. Join us again for another episode of the Weekly News Roundup. On behalf of the team, I'm Vida. Have a good weekend.